Hey, welcome back to Music Class, kids. For today's lesson, we're going to go back in time. We're going to look at what our country was like about 200 years ago. See, back then our country was divided on a lot of different issues, and one of them was slavery. And slavery was something that was absolutely awful. That's where African Americans were held captive, basically, on these big farms called plantations. They were forced to work long, hard hours, and oftentimes they were mistreated. They weren't allowed to live the lives that they wanted to. And so a lot of these slaves wanted to get free. And freedom was in the North. And that means the states in the North didn't allow slavery, but the states in the South did. So these slaves eventually invented this secret system of code where they could communicate secret messages in songs like this one called Follow the Drinking Gourd. So first of all, what is a drinking gourd? Well, a gourd is something that grows on a vine, like a vegetable, kind of like a pumpkin, but when it dries, it hardens. And these slaves could use this for all kinds of things. For example, making a dipping spoon. So if you can imagine, if they cut off the top of this part, because it's hollow, they could use this as a handle and they could scoop out water and use it to drink when they were working in those fields on those long, hot days. So when the slaves looked up in the sky at night, they would often see this constellation. A constellation is a group of stars that, if you could connect the dots, it would form a picture. And what does this one look like right here? Have you ever seen this before? We call it the Big Dipper because it looks like a big dipping spoon. But the slaves, when they saw it, they called it the drinking gourd. Well, the slaves would use these stars to guide them at night to help them find their way north to freedom. It was like their roadmap. And if they could line up these two stars right here at the end of the scoop of the Big Dipper, it would lead to the North Star, which obviously pointed north, and it would lead them in the right direction. So these code songs in the 1800s was part of this secret system called the Underground Railroad. Now that's also a code word because it was not underground and it wasn't a railroad. It was a secret system that the slaves used to get to freedom in the North. They would travel at night, follow riverbanks, use the stars, hide out in people's houses who wanted to help them, and eventually after weeks and weeks, they would make their way on foot all the way to the north. So let's go ahead and take a look at this song called Follow the Drinking Gourd. And first, I'm going to read you the introduction to the song. It goes like this. It says, "The Underground Railroad was a secret system of safe houses in the 1800s. It helped enslaved African Americans escape to the north. Follow the Drinking Gourd is a code song that instructed enslaved people to follow the Big Dipper drinking gourd constellation. From this constellation, they could find the North Star, which pointed north." Yeah, isn't that pretty cool? So let's go ahead and read through the verses. I've got 3 verses on this page, and the refrain, which is always the same, is on this page. So the first verse goes like this. "When the sun comes back and the first quail calls, follow the drinking gourd. Then the old man's waiting for to carry you to freedom, follow the drinking gourd." So what this is saying is when the sun comes back and the first quail calls, that means springtime. That means the rivers are high and the birds have come back from the south. So that's how the slaves knew it was the right time to leave. And there was someone who was trying to help the slaves, and his name was Peg Leg Joe. He had a peg leg. He used to be a sailor, but he dedicated his life to helping the slaves, and he would lead them on their path north to freedom. The second verse goes like this. "Now the riverbank will make a mighty good road. The dead trees will show you the way. And the left foot, peg foot, traveling on, just you follow the drinking gourd." So sometimes they would see Peg Leg Joe's footprints. Sometimes he would make special markings on the trees to help them know that they were going the right way. And if they followed the riverbank of certain rivers that went north, then that would lead them in the right direction. The third verse goes like this. "Now the river ends between 2 hills, follow the drinking gourd, and there's another river on the other side, just you follow the drinking gourd." So as long as they found the right rivers, that would lead them north. And the refrain goes, "Follow the drinking gourd, follow the drinking gourd. For the old man is awaiting for to carry you to freedom. Follow the drinking gourd. Hope you enjoyed that, and we'll see you next time.